so the Free Wheelchair was founded in 2001 and shares this long history with us. They have grown to an annual budget of $14 million, and they distribute over 1.4 million wheelchairs. And I'd like to bring Nuka Solomon up to share with you more about their amazing story and the future vision that they have in store. Because God's only getting started with them.
Thank you. And thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction of our ministry. And this is home. I feel like I'm with family, and Angela was talking about this when we were preparing one of our team members and it's true what you said, Free Wheelchair Mission wouldn't have existed were it not for this group. And you also said, Bob, that God adds and orders us to multiply. So some of you may ask, well, why are you here again? You were here 20 some odd years ago. We're here again because it's important for us to ask you for help when we need help, and we need help to multiply. And we feel called and convicted to multiply. So thank you for having me. And I just came back from 2 mission trips, one to Haiti and one to Guatemala. I tell people that February didn't belong to me because I was on airplanes and giving out wheelchairs. And since those trips, I've been focused on gratitude. It's what happens when you go on a mission trip outside the United States. You get real appreciative. When you come back and your internet doesn't work, it doesn't matter. And this morning I was reflecting on the little things to be grateful for: water, clean air, being able to walk outside freely, being able to pray without somebody asking me why I was praying to the Lord, being able to walk outside and just having my mobility. For those of you that are not familiar with us, there are 80 million people, just think about that number, in the world that need a wheelchair at any given time. The vast majority do not have access to a wheelchair. That's why we need help multiplying, because it's a staggering number. What does it mean to need a wheelchair and not to have one? For those of you that are parents and grandparents, could you imagine carrying your teenager from their bedroom to the bathroom, outside, carrying them on their back to school, or your young adult child or grandchild? Staggering. And this happens every single day in the developing world. It means that people are locked down. We know what that word means, right? From 2020. In their homes, cast aside. If they don't know the Lord, if their families don't know the Lord, it means that they may be thought to be possessed by a demon or cursed. We've seen people even who've had their eyes gouged out because they were born with a disability. It means that they can't go to school, can't go to work. It means that their families can't earn a living. So a wheelchair is necessary. Every one of us needs hope. We live on hope. And if you're a Christian, hope is the Lord. It's Jesus. For us at Free Wheelchair Mission, giving out a wheelchair is a vehicle. It's a way to demonstrate physically that hope exists and the Lord exists. So, Bob, you did all my work for me. So there's Don, our founder, and he is, yes, a biomedical engineer by trade, and he felt called and convicted to do something about this problem of mobility, this 80 million problem. And as you see him there with one of those tires that we use as bicycle tires, the reason why he did that is because he saw something that he couldn't unsee. He saw a woman dragging herself along the ground in Morocco, and he used his talents. He felt convicted to use his talents to invent a wheelchair, the one that you described, Bob, to literally lift people up off of the ground. It's funny how we have plans, but God has other plans for those degrees that we earn. And so Don started out with 100 wheelchairs in his garage. He thought he was going to sell the idea as a patent, and the Lord had another idea, and his church friends did too, and Free Wheelchair Mission was born. and he distributed 4 wheelchairs initially to India, and from there, we are a full-blown ministry. So our mission at Free Wheelchair Mission, and we are a faith-based Christian organization, nonprofit here, based in Southern California, though we do all of our work internationally, is to design and manufacture wheelchairs that are cost-effective and durable for the countries that we serve. And we do it because we are convicted by the Lord. We do it because we're motivated by Jesus. And we do it because we give our love and hope to those individuals at no cost, just as Jesus does. Those wheelchairs are designed for the rugged terrain of the developing world, not the wonderful pavement that we have here with the blue placards that we have in our parking lots. They're made in a way that individuals can move around in their country, and potentially, if that's the only wheelchair they're going to receive, it can last for a long time. And you can see there in the image that that's an individual in Uganda, and that's a clay terrain that obviously, if they're in a wheelchair that we would get here at CVS or Walmart, may not be as durable. So where do we work? Somebody asked me this earlier. We work in a lot of places. We've been in 95 countries. We're currently in over 35 countries, and we've touched 1.4 million souls. But I say that it's many more than that, because if you are that parent of a child who needs a wheelchair, you are touched and affected if your child is getting a wheelchair, because now you can go to work. You can now take your child to school. So it's many more than that. And we couldn't do it without our supporters and our volunteers. And that's our test track that we have right here in Irvine, California, in Southern California. And that's where a lot of the design and engineering starts. It starts right here in our backyard, and then we manufacture the wheelchairs in Asia, and we give them out to the countries that we serve. 500 or so wheelchairs in a container going on a ship. During pandemics, that's really hard to do, but somehow the Lord makes it happen. And we are able to keep our costs down because we do it with volume. So we work with organizations that can do it with high volume. And who are we working with? We're working with churches, we're working with Christian hospitals, clinics all over the world. Just about every continent has been touched. And those individuals are empowered to do for themselves. We believe in not just giving the fish, but teaching the man how to fish. And so we empower them to give out the wheelchairs and to assess the patients as needed. But most importantly, we ask them to give a message of Christ's love with the wheelchairs as they are distributed. That is the key. And on average, there are about 176 wheelchairs that we're giving out per day. So today, that many people will be lifted up off of the ground, their lives will be transformed, and they will know that they're loved by Jesus. So I mentioned earlier that I went on a couple mission trips. And about 3 weeks ago, I was right a few feet away from that fire in Haiti. And Haiti is a country that is the poorest in the Western Hemisphere. It just so happens to be where my family is from, where I have family right now. And I've been there many times, but I'm going to tell you, I was brought to my knees, crying out to the Lord in fear on this trip. It was the scariest trip I've ever taken. I don't know if you followed the news, but there was a lot going on in Haiti a few weeks ago. And there it is, our truck with the wheelchairs in the back, because we were convicted to go through the fire. Somebody said, hose down the devil or the fire with a water gun. Who said that today? Yeah, Nick. And that's what I literally was doing. And I never thought I would do something so scary, but I did. And I felt so good doing it. And I'm going to show you why. Because this is who we were going to see, this little girl. Her name is Fabienne, and she was born with a disability, and she's like so many of the children that we serve in the developing world. So many of them that are born with disabilities for a multitude of reasons, and were it not for that wheelchair, their lives would be turned upside down. Their lives are already challenging because in a country like Haiti with political turmoil and all kinds of natural disasters that you've heard about, it's nearly impossible to get a wheelchair. I'm still seeing people today who have been waiting since 2010, that big earthquake that you all heard about, and there was another one in 2021, since 2010 have been waiting for a wheelchair. They have no limbs, or they have a disability issue, and some of them walking for miles with antiquated crutches or just stuck in a room. Could you imagine being stuck in a room for that long? 2010, we're in 2024, too long. So this girl, she received a wheelchair. Literally, I could say it. I went through the fire to give her wheelchair, and that feels so good, so good. And do you know what she told me? She said, now I'm going to be able to go not just to school, but to church, to church, to church. And she knows how to sing, and she sings at church, and she's accepted by her friends because now she is part of a community. That's what we all want. We want to be part of a community. And speaking of community, here in San Diego, we have 4 churches that are supporting us. And one of the big asks that we have as we're trying to scale is to get more churches. That's the heart of how we're going to scale, we feel. It has been a long time at Free Wheelchair Mission that we've seen it. It is not just through groups like Barnabas, but it's through the church, people who go on these trips with us, people who fundraise for us, people who spread the word and the gospel of Free Wheelchair Mission and share about our ministry. So I'm going to show a video to you, and it's about a girl, another girl, that I met just this fall in Brazil. She's from an indigenous population, and you'll understand why I'm so convicted when you see it. Very difficult for me to watch that because I was there, and it's hard to see that again. But that was the prayer that we asked our partners to pray with our wheelchair recipients, and it was done by that man, Paulo. I've become very close to he and his wife, Renata. And they're in Brazil, and that was being prayed in Portuguese. And I'm going to tell you something. That's one of our secular partners. So, you know, we know that's being done with our Christian partners, but to see our secular partners doing that is so amazing to me. I mean, it means we're really, really making a difference. And she's crying out to Jesus. She's joyful. That was not a sad cry. That was a joyful cry. And you could see it after he started telling her about the Lord. And so we shared that video with a church recently when I got back in Olympia, Washington, of just 300 congregants. And do you know what they did after watching that? They raised enough for 870 wheelchairs. That's $83,000. That's why I know that churches can do this for us. They can help us to scale. So we have tons of resources. We do this all over the country, but we need to do more because 80 million is a lot. We've done 1.4, and I'm proud to say we're the ministry that's probably given out the most wheelchairs in the world with only 30 some odd staff, right? But we need your help, and we need your help through the church and through your businesses and anyone who has a faith-based entity that would be supportive of what we're trying to achieve. We have devotionals, we have VBS materials, we have all kinds of materials, posters, rosters, tons of things that we can give to you to help you to spread the word for us. And most importantly, we want your ideas. We're not assuming that we know everything. There's a lot of very intelligent people in this room. I met a physician earlier today. I mean, there are people that are closely touching our work in ways that we couldn't imagine. Just as Bob described, that's how this ministry got started. We are not so arrogant to think that we have all of the answers. We need your help. Beyond that, San Diego, we're based in Orange County. We want to go beyond Orange County. We want to be more in San Diego. We want to be more in Santa Barbara. We want to be more in Los Angeles. We want to be more in Texas, Michigan, everywhere. And we are doing it for those 80 million people. But we're doing it because God is telling us we have to. We have to scale. I can't unsee what I saw a few weeks ago. It wasn't just in Haiti, it was in Guatemala as well. I felt when I was in Guatemala like I was in the lap of luxury after having gone to Haiti. But it wasn't good what I saw. I saw the majority of those individuals needing our care as well. So I'm asking you to think about connecting us with 5 to 10 of your business connections, people that are like-minded, as we talked about earlier. And finally, we have our Times 2 Give Challenge that's coming up, and this is another opportunity that would be really easy for your businesses and churches to connect with us. This is going on throughout the month of March, the 1st to the 31st, and you can look us up on our website to find out how you can get involved and what the resources are. Thank you all for this time, and I hope that I moved you with this hope that we can provide with a wheelchair. Thank you so much.